text my buddy, tell him we're coming over. It's funny, I was just picking up Jesse from the airport. I saw one of the WCA, like West Coast arborist trucks, and it was full of the eucalyptus logs from Foothill over here. And I totally recognized the driver. They recognized me from downtown because I just like show up anytime I see their trucks and like ask them for logs and stuff. I think they're kind of sick of me now because I just like show up all the time. But I was like trying to like wave to the dude. Just like saw a whole thing of logs. I know, I wouldn't have known what to do with a log like this 5 years ago. I had just moved back to Claremont, my hometown. I started getting text messages, phone calls about friends that had like a neighbor's tree fall down, asking me if I wanted it and stuff, and I was like, well, okay. They kept rolling in, and it was like, it felt like a dream. It was weird. And then it got like concerning, you know, because 1 or 2 is fine, but then 40, very concerning. But at the time, I had a show, an art show in the works with Alex Tiwa, and we were kind of kicking around ideas for a theme on what to do, and we decided that this is an opportunity to showcase work from all the fallen trees in the storm. It was all very sad, but it was like, okay, we have to do something. Like, it kind of just clicked. Yeah, I have a feeling this thing might just snap. So we're not even off the ground yet. I'm gonna cut like a foot off of this. The reason I got into wood carving was through Leslie Williamson's book, Handcrafted Modern. There was one of those moments where like you flip to a page in a book, there's something in that that you like really love. Damn, it smells so good. For me, it was J.B. Blunk's work, specifically his house. Everything in his house was made by him and had his fingerprint all over it. It kind of felt like the adult version of a kid building his own treehouse. That being like something I did as a kid and like always been interested in like architecture and wood and building and things. I was like, oh, like that's the adult version of what I was doing as a kid. And I was sort of becoming an adult. And this is cool, I want to know more about this. I was like renting apartments in Portland and didn't have a garage space or a yard where you could run a chainsaw. And I moved in to a house that had a garage finally. And this was like 10 years after getting that Handcrafted Modern book. It was the first time I actually had the space to tinker around and like experiment with wood carving.
So you spent 10 years thinking about this?
Yeah. In that time I was like working and I was in a band and we were touring and skating, and so there's other things to kind of take my mind off it. But it's crazy to think about, like now that I'm like moving into the studio and stuff, I'm thinking like, okay, like I'm gonna need a forklift, and I'm like shopping for forklifts, and every once in a while I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing, dude? Like, look at this thing. That's crazy. I feel like I'm doing donuts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
When we decided to do the show with Tiwa using all wood that we collected from the storm, we had about 5 months, which is super quick. There wasn't even really time to like think of a plan. It was more just like be very gestural with the cuts, and I was kind of experimenting on each one. To me, it's like less about the forms that I made. It's more about like the project as a whole. Just this way to remember the storm, think about the trees in Claremont, climate change. There's so many eye-openers these days with like droughts and fires and natural disasters. This storm is definitely just another one of those reminders. And it's cool to create an art project out of it, I guess, you know, and like have something that people can enjoy out of that, I guess. It sounds weird, but like trying to make a positive out of this negative thing.
That's heavy. There's so much moisture in these trees when they're cut down. It's like 40% water in some of these trees. So when all the water dries out, it's 40% lighter. Pretty sure that's how it works.